Friends in the arts. We are all here well, not all of us are here together. There's many of us here from No One Is Forgotten, an immersive opera, which we're really happy to say is finally coming out into the world. And we have the incredible co-composers, Paola Prestini and Sxip Shirey. We have the wonderful Kirsten Piper Brown, who played Lali sung, and the amazing Amelia Workman, who played Lali spoken. We have Elena Arauz, who was our fearless director, and Jonathan Esterbrookes, who has been our fearless and tireless producer on this project. I am Eve Gigliotti. I also produced this project and was portrayed Bang Sung. The incredible Kathleen Chalfant is not able to join us today, and we are also missing Jeffrey Ziegler, our fantastic cellist, and Winter Miller, the original playwright and librettist to the piece. But I want to welcome you all here today. We are going to just have a little chat about the project and share a little insight on what we went through in creating this work. And I wanted to start off with our composers. I think what is really interesting about this project is all the duality in the project. You know, we have these characters that are each played by two people, and we have two composers. And I'd love for you two to talk about how you worked together with each other so beautifully, so in sync, to create this really unique musical language.
Sure, I can start and then pass it to Sxip. I'll start by saying that it's fitting that we're back in our Zoom boxes because we began,
Yes.
in 2020. And it's just so amazing to finally see this to fruition. But I guess what I would say about co-composing, sorry, that's my dog, is that you don't want to do it unless you're very good friends with someone and you trust them. And so I'd say that the success in collaborating with someone as amazing as Sxip is that we trust each other. And, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it was a joyful process. And, Sxip is known for, his composing also for choirs, in which so much is passed back and forth. And I think it's a perfect, kind of analogy or metaphor or whatever for how we work together, which was very much passing back and forth material. And, obviously we both have our strengths, but, and we played into those, so for me, we both love writing for the voice. And I also like working, deeply in orchestration, and Sxip works also in orchestration, but in terms of sound and these kind of fantasious elements of Foley, which, are obviously orchestration as well. So it was an incredible process. I don't know, Sxip, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. And when we first started this, Paola has mentioned that the composers, or whatever that character is, aren't known as collaborators often. They work by themselves. However, I grew up being in bands with very good composers and bands, and you would get easily to go, this person writes like Rima Fan, one of my collaborators. You will feed something normal into her, and she'll splay it out and make it interesting. That's what Paola did. So when you're used to working with bands, you get to, in a band situation, it's easy for you to hand stuff off. It's fun. You get to be lazier in a way. So, but then you get to be more excitable. So I think this is kind of using that intelligence of working in a band situation, but in this sort of world of composers, and it's great. And the best moments, I think, were when we passed something. Like I wrote a cello line, and Paola's like, "Oh, what if I put this over that cello line that we meant for this other thing?" And that's when it gets exciting.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing I'll say too, just in terms of, since we don't have Jeff here, is also thinking of the cello, right? It's not just one cello line, it's many, many cello lines. And so, because of the kind of, austerity of working during a pandemic, it was also thinking, well, who are the people closest to us that we, love the most, and how do we make something really beautiful? Which, I think we all did.
And last thing, I'll just say also the trust thing. I like Paola would give me pushback on things, and she's like, "No, you can't do that." But I actually trust her. I'm like, you're probably right. So even though my instincts are different, I'll go with it. Plus, I care. I think also it's successful if your goal is the art, making the art good. So you both kind of just give it up
Yeah.
to the art. Yeah.
We do push each other though. It's not just,
Yeah,
you
we
know.
do. Oh no, for sure.
No, but I
I feel
think
like
trust, I think the word
yeah.
trust is so key, particularly in this process, because so much of this process was really done with separate. We were all working intensely in our own corners. And then we would come to each other and say, does this work? Or we would come to each other and say, what about if we did this? And to be open to that kind of collaboration, I know is a huge trust exercise, and there's a trust exercise in the opera. There's a lot of trust exercises in the opera. So shifting over to Miss Amelia Workman, our fabulous Lali spoken. So Amelia, coming into this world of music and opera singers, I'm genuinely curious. What made you stay and stick through from beginning to end? What was it about the piece?
It's number one, it's the people, as so many other people have said. It's like after you've been in this business a while, it's like, who do you want to keep spending time with? And who do you aesthetically either link up with or feel excited by the pushback, kind of what Paola and Sxip were talking about. And then so the piece is just, I think it's really important, particularly right now for so many reasons. It's important to champion pieces like this and make sure that they are heard and that they reach people in whatever form is going to be the most potent for each person. Things hit people differently and at different times and when we're ready for them. And so my hope is that Winter's beautiful play, now added with all these voices, turns it into something that, can help people understand each other better.
And how was working with Kirsten in our workshop process? We tried a lot of things on. We threw a lot of spaghetti at the wall. There was a lot of figuring out as we went, and then a lot of mining to find the jewel, right? And so in sharing a voice with a partner, a singular voice with a partner, how did that feel to you, and how did that affect your own process with Lali?
I would say in the beginning, there was sort of like you kind of have to be in two places and listening in two places. That was the thing with this project in general, because we had so many incredibly smart people with different vocabularies and bags of tricks, kind of. And so in order for us all to be able to make use of what everybody had, you had to just really listen. Like some days I was like, this is like Esther Perel on like 1,000, because it's just like, but also when the trust is there and everyone's good, you're like, okay, let me, even if I don't understand exactly what they're talking about right now, I'm going to hear it the next time they play it back or the next time it goes on. And like listening to Kirsten's voice, now I'm hearing another kind of like, and sort of what Paola's written, there's a tick there that I didn't recognize at first. I was laying in this other thing and like let what she's doing lift up what I'm doing into a new place, and just kind of be excited by, it's such a joy to have other people to play with, kind of, and not have to figure it all out. As long as you can like listen and share.
Yeah, listening and sharing. I mean, that's the other big takeaway of this project too. And I would just, pass that over to Kirsten as well. You spoke a little bit on this in one of the interviews that we did about working with Amelia on creating the singular character. But I'm interested as an opera singer to hear from you how this process challenged you in unexpected ways.
Wow. I remember leaving first day of rehearsal and honestly thinking, I'm wondering if I was in over my head, to be quite honest. I felt like I was in a room of the most brilliant artists in the world. And I just kind of like go back, and go to sleep and wake up in the morning. And yeah, it was still the same thing the next day, but I knew that I was not that everyone's going to change, but I just felt so fortunate to be there and to really learn and to stretch. This was a stretch for me to listen to Amelia and to play around with my idea of who I thought Lolly was, and then what I thought my voice could do, the cadence, the speed, the rhythm, um, the pacing. It changed so many times. I loved that we could repeat it and play around with it, and just the music. Just, oh my gosh, Paola and Sxip, wow, just um, yeah. I feel like this was such a stretch for me as an artist, a beautiful, beautiful stretch, and I'm just grateful to have been able to learn and continuing to learn as I listen to what we've done.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the same way, and I mean, I have been obsessively listening to the Apple to our album. I mean, I have been listening, and every time I listen, you hear different things. The music takes on different emotions, characters. It starts to morph. The more you dive into the writing, the dialogue, the scenes, the relationship, the spoken relationship between Lolly and Bang. I mean, the more you really let the piece, what's the word when the wine gets better and better? What's that word?
Open
What's
up.
the word? Yeah,
It
open
opens
up.
up.
You let the
Yummy.
oxygen in,
Breathe.
Yummy.
and it just becomes this bouquet. It just really continues I think it's a testament to the piece that upon multiple listenings, it continues to grow and expand. And what sounds at first maybe I was going to say simple in a straightforward way, the more you listen, you realize how intertwined and complex and layered things are in this piece. And I'm really proud of that. I think we really and Paola, Sxip, and Winter built something really special. So moving over to Miss Elena, we're talking about the piece a lot. One of the things about this piece that I think is really valuable and special is the cross collaborative nature of the work. The fact that we have actors and singers creating a piece together, and we're utilizing technology to enhance storytelling, and we're creating an opera that can be delivered to the audience in a really intimate way. So for Elena, how do you foresee the continuation of this theme within the performing arts art form, specifically classical arts, just because that's really the angle that we're approaching it? But how do you see this being part of the overall conversation and the hopeful evolution of where we can take this?
Yeah, I always enjoy processes like this where we gather a group of really amazing artists from many different fields who would all define what they do in drastically different ways. And the reason why a group like this is so exciting to me is because we all have our tools, but we're all in service of the same thing, which is that we want to invite the imagination of the audience. But we all have very, very different ways of going about it, really different aspects and tools to move forward. And because I come from a theater world and from an opera world, it's been really fun to help all of the different types of artists talk to each other and help to translate a lot of what one person is thinking about a character versus what another person is writing in the character versus what another person is composing in the character. And in the end, You know, what the spoken actors do with me, and even as they hear the music and along with the other singers, is even the spoken word in this is a kind of composition. Actors are always thinking about, what is the pace of this moment? What is the volume of this moment? What is the pitch of this word? How does the pitch help us land a joke or invite the audience into a contemplative place? And then we have this added tool, which is technology and this immersive audio, which not only invites the audience's imagination, but places them in the setting of the piece. And to me, that is so exciting. There's actually a tremendous amount of research about why audio invokes the imagination so much more than when you show all of the pictures, the realism of what's in front of you to an audience. And so yes, we've known that, but now what we get to do is to put the audience right in the middle of the action, so that we could ask the actors and sometimes the singers, can you whisper this as quietly as you can? Invite the audience in as just as you're inviting the other character to come closer to you. And to put the audience in the middle invites them to be a composer in our collaboration as well. We're asking them to fill out the story with their own imagination, with their own visual imagination, and definitely thinking about some of the social questions, the really important questions that this piece brings up. And so now, like we do in the theater and in live performance, we are handing over our work to our next scene partner, which is the audience, and we're asking them to be a part of the storytelling. To me, that's what this kind of technology with this kind of really unique collaboration, I've never done anything like this before, and I don't know that anybody else really has here. And I'm excited for the responses.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of never having done any of this before, I mean, I think having produced, passing over to Jonathan, never having produced in recorded work for immersive audio, the amount of information that we've gleaned, that we've learned throughout this entire process, I'm really curious to hear from you. What are the kind of the big takeaways leaping into such a complex project such as this, even down to like how we had to capture the sound, and just I'd be curious to hear.
Well, what you were saying earlier about layers within the compositional language, can I tell you how many layers in Pro Tools of audio elements there were? And at one point, Paola and I were working on a scene. She was in Mexico. We were trying to figure out how to get all of these layers figured out for the finale. And there was just so much going on. I mean, it's overwhelming. I almost want to share a screenshot with everybody just to understand the hundreds of hours of work, because what we basically did, for anyone watching this, is we recorded the actors and the singers and cellists completely separately. And then we had to combine all of that together. And then I did an initial edit of everything, created all of the audio tracks, and then that went to Boston to then be mixed in this 3-dimensional immersive space where you're treating audio elements not in a stereo fashion, but in this, as nodes. I've never done an immersive project. This is my first time doing anything in Dolby Atmos, because it is still a very new thing, and it's now starting to be pushed a lot by Apple, and it's going to continue to expand as a technology. But I mean, I'm really excited that we are the first opera that was written exactly like with Dolby Atmos in mind. That the choice to do this work, and that's to you, Eve, to think that this would be, would work in that, because being in the cell gives us this incredible environment that we can really play with. Where's the bucket? Where's the door? Where are these sounds coming from? Moving, Elena, Eve, and I, and Winter went to Boston, and we were in Speakerhenge, it's called, with Mark Donahue, who has 13 Grammys to his name, so he knows a little bit about what he's doing. And just sort of standing in the middle of the room and going, oh yeah, we got to make sure that they're behind us over there, and then we want the door a little bit further in the hallway. And it was just such a cool process, and being able to have such richness of content to work with, I think, made the hundreds of hours of work worth it.
I mean, we really did build a set. We built the production out of sound, and I just realized that I failed to mention one of the key humans in our project who was very much the glue throughout the recording and preparation process, which was Michelle Refrano, who was our wonderful conductor and music director, who really led the way through the entire recording process and got us prepared and made the music all come together with her leadership. So and Michelle also wasn't able to join us today, so thank you, Michelle. Yeah, I mean, just really understanding the difference between building something in stereo and building something in immersive was astounding. I mean, like, it was like that was the huge. It's a different animal. It's a different animal, and I'm really excited for audiences to be able to really experience it as an installation as well. I think this piece will continue to live in other formats. This is the first introduction to this world for people, but I think it's going to be really exciting to sit in a room and really feel the immersive entirely around you. And then, of course, I know we're all itching to do a live performance of it too, which is also one of our goals for this beautiful opera to be realized. And so these things will continue to be on the docket. And I also just to kind of wrap up, and just one of the things that I wanted to make sure to say first and foremost was to thank Emitha and Lexicon for their for coming in as true partners in this project, and also the Dallas Opera. You know, one of the things that the Dallas Opera did in supporting this project and seeing it all the way through was they put their faith in artist-led projects, and they put their faith in singer-led projects. And you know, singers have a lot to sing, but they also have something to say. And I think that giving the opportunity to and the trust to a project that was singer-led is a real testament to the opera company, to the Dallas Opera, and investing in where this art form can go. I think that we should have more of this, please. So I'm very grateful to them, because we've got something to say, and I think it's beautiful. And I'm so grateful for every one of you for showing up, for everything that you've put into this project. It is truly, I cannot believe we're here. It is truly it has been a labor of love. And I hope that the world embraces this work with as much love as it was made. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Eve.
Thank you.